What is up, everybody? Welcome back to Orbis Overdrive. It's your guy, Gimmick.
And your resident newbie, Miiku.
And so for those who might not be familiar with Orbis Overdrive, this is our bi-weekly stream where we get to talk about last night's update with all of you and also a special guest later down the line. How is everybody doing today?
Hope you guys are doing so well. I know I was out last time and you were running this all by yourself, man.
We had no idea where she went. She just disappeared off the face of the earth. Yeah.
You know, sometimes you'll find me wandering a random parking lot.
Yeah.
Somewhere around HQ.
Yeah, she came crawling in. We're like, hey, we got stream today, right? So.
And then I was like, oh yeah, I forgot. I have to go run onto Discord.
Yeah, so that was, but we got everything sorted out, but we're hoping that everyone is doing very well today, and we've got quite a bit to talk about today. So without further ado, let us get right on into the imprint. So this is our little update summary page. If you guys haven't seen the 1-minute summary, here is everything in detail. So we'll be going through it bit by bit, but just to give an overarch, we have the new hero Dragon King Sharoon, we have the new skin for Harmonic Conductor Bellion.
And then we have some January balance adjustments to a bunch of different characters. I think it's the biggest balance change. I don't know if the biggest always means best, but just a lot of heroes are getting tweaks.
A lot of heroes, that is true.
And additionally, we got a new side story for the new year.
So let us go right into our first slide here to talk a little bit about Dragon King Sharoon. So we did have her announced quite a bit ago with her aesthetic design, but just a couple of days ago, she had her kit announced and released. And yeah, we just want to quickly get some thoughts. How do you guys feel about Dragon King Sharoon? Personally, this design is kind of a curveball, right?
Yeah.
I definitely looked at this and I thought, this is definitely a different approach to how Sharoon looks compared to her normal form. So
yeah, definitely.
It is very interesting to see kind of a different take on it, and it's just unique.
It's definitely unique. You and I were talking before stream, but I like how they kind of kept that serpent imagery with the dragon behind her. When I first saw Dragon King Sharoon, I was like, that's Sharoon?
Yeah, that was my first reaction as well, right?
I was like, this has to be a new character. What are you talking about? This is Sharoon. But I'm also really excited to see another Soul Weaver enter into the game. I don't think we had a ton of Soul Weavers recently.
I think that, I can't really remember the last big Soul Weaver we had, but I believe it was Infinite Horizon Achades.
Oh, it was. I forgot. So, yes.
But there's a lot of different diversity in the kit and design. And I know that a lot of people like to talk about Soul Weavers should be healers. Soul Weavers should always be healing. But I really like the design of a Soul Weaver that is utility and support focused.
I like it. It's I remember when I was starting to kind of get into this game, not just all supports are just healing and shielding. There's buffs and debuffs that they can put on. I really like that kind of.
Yeah, without putting out much damage as well, right?
Exactly.
So, also to Boomy XO, thank you so much for tuning in. New player here. I've been loving the game. We're happy to hear that. So
yeah.
Give a little love to Boomy in chat as well, and some other people hello as well. I see. Oh, I like Sharoon's ult. The flute is very calming. I like the flute.
Oh, I love the flute. Oh my god, that animation when her hero preview came out, I was like, oh, I need her. I already tried rolling for her, did not get her. But
well, we'll have to pile some mystics together for sure. Speaking of looks, by the way, let us move on to the next piece, which is for Harmonic Conductor Bellion. So we also had her design announced a couple weeks ago, and she is now finally in game with her trailer fully shown. So this is for people who finished the Insight season at Masters tier or higher. So, but if you weren't able to obtain her, you will be able to in a couple of months at the skin shop. So
yeah, I'm definitely going to be saving my skin tickets. I'm not a big RTA player. I'm still too intimidated to enter in, but I am starting to build my heroes, guys.
That's what we like to hear. I mean, honestly, that's where I was. I was super intimidated starting off, and then I was like, I just gotta do it. I just gotta do it.
I know, you're just you're always encouraging me, you gotta do it. You can do this. You can do this. But then I show you my team, you're like, ooh, you should change this.
You should change this. You should, hey, why don't you rework your entire team right
now? Just let me take your account and I'll make it better for you. But I will say, you've been such a great teacher and really encouraging. And now this is the first time actually seeing the skin, ooh, maybe I will enter in, because I love this design of the musical instruments, very goddess looking. It
is very interesting. I like how as well these epic skins also have the new voice lines, and also for some of these have been altering the looks of the animation as well, which is super cool to me.
I will say, I'm a little disappointed she didn't throw like drums and trumpets.
We were talking about that.
Okay, maybe it's just me in my like high school, maybe middle school, like band PTSD.
Oh no.
Like getting like harassed. And I'm like, oh, I'm just waiting for that. But no, I still love how in her S3 you can hear like the music swell, like all the strings kind of go
the crescendo,
up.
Yeah. It's amazing. It's amazing. I'm really excited to see where kind of our design team takes this going further.
Yes,
because like
exactly.
The sky's the limit at this point.
Yeah.
Given how like we had like the super futuristic Last Rider Crow.
Oh my goodness.
And we had like the Calamity's Equilibrium for Meteoric Aware. Like it's so many cool stuff.
Yeah, just like you wouldn't think like I love seeing edgy Quirk. That's how I have to name him in my mind. He's just like the scars and everything.
Oh, you know what? Someone said I was what was it saying? Yeah, I would have laughed if her S3 dropped a giant tuba. So you know how she has her hands and she does this?
Yeah.
Imagine cymbals.
Oh, that would
have been very funny to me.
I just see someone saying she isn't a marching band. She's elegant like an orchestra. Yes, absolutely. She can conduct the orchestra. She's doing better than actually marching band is pretty cool.
Yeah.
But
I like super cool for designs.
Yeah.
But speaking of other heroes and other PvP related, let's go on to the next slide and talk a little bit about the balance adjustments. And we will be going over this with our guest as well in the future in a little bit. So, hold all those big opinions for just a little longer.
I know you guys have some thoughts
Yes.
and some opinions.
So we'll be talking about that a little bit further, but let us go over the hero list. Right now we have Judge Kisei, Specimen Says, Spirit Iceline, Hua Young, and Elena.
And then command model Laika, Elvira, Romaine. I just want to say Light Arcades, but it's Infinite Horizon Arcades, and Momo and Angelic Momo.
And you might notice a little icon over Elvira. We'll go into that a little bit in the details in a little.
Is that
bit
just
later.
I thought that was the no you.
The no you? I mean,
Yeah.
it's kind of a no you, right? She says like no you to Fighting Spirit, but anyways.
Yeah.
Let's move on to the next piece as well regarding artifacts as well. Here are the 3 artifacts that were changed. You can see a little bit of the details on Stove, but Circus Fantasia, Manica of Control, and Secret Tree Branch. What a mouthful.
Wow. Good job, Gimmick.
I'm the best. No, I'm kidding.
You are the best.
Am I? I haven't hit Legend yet. So.
You know what? You're the best in my book. You know what? You have the skill. I have the Elvira. We can make this work.
We can make things happen here. Someone's saying I have Elvira and I love her. We'd love to hear that.
Oh, I need to build her. I was so scared because
it's a lot of gear for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So we'll be talking a little bit more about these heroes in just a little bit. But for the last bit and piece of our update, we have the side story, which is New Year's Grand Festival.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
Okay.
I am in chapter 3. I am very confused why I'm in chapter 3 and these characters. We're now in episode 5?
We have episode 5 now, up to chapter 6.
And now they're bringing back Episode
3
heroes back into this the side story, and I'm very interested. I haven't really started it just yet to get into the story, but have you, Gimmick?
I've gotten a little bit through it, so I've seen some of the heroes that are featured with it, which I'm super excited to talk about as well. But as you can see, we have Chanel here and Ervalen as kind of the title heroes. But as you might have seen from the front screen of the game right now, there is also Ida, Silvertide Christie, and Young Senya.
Oh,
which
Young
is like
Senya.
very interesting. So I'm excited to see where kind of these heroes are introduced into the story, right?
Definitely. I've been seeing some talks, some chit-chats on the Discord, on the Twitters about
the lore,
the story,
So,
and so I'm very excited to jump into this.
Yeah. But speaking of jumping in, why don't we jump into our next segment, which is, as you might know, for Orbis Overdrive, we always bring on our guest. So without further ado, let us introduce our guest for this Orbis Overdrive. I'm Sue.
Hey, how's it
Welcome
going,
on
everybody?
in, Sue. And for those who might not know you, feel free to introduce yourself and talk about where you stream and where you produce your content.
Hey, what's going on, E7 fam? I'm Sue. Feel free to call me Pat. I stream over on Twitch at IAM_TSU, and then also I make YouTube content, specifically guides, again at youtube.com/@IAM_TSU. That's where you can find me.
I was gonna say your guides and like your insight is so good. I've been just binging all your videos since I'm still like trying to figure out like all the mechanics, everything that goes into this huge, impressive game all the time, and you're just like cut down to like, here's the meat, here's the points that you need to know, and also explain it so well.
Yeah, we really loved your video for the Content Creators Contest, given the Epic 7 2024 video. And so I wanted to talk a little bit about kind of you as a creator. You know, I feel like given what you do for guide content and stuff like that, I feel like you're a very all-round kind of player. Like I see that you do a lot with the story, you do a lot with PvE, PvP, and you know, I wanted to talk a little bit more about, you know, what's your kind of your favorite thing to look into as a content creator for Epic 7?
So my favorite thing, like, I mean, it take a long time, but I really like making guides, because when I was a kid, straight up, I was terrible at games, and I had to figure out everything on my own, and it was miserable. And all I wanted was somebody like, can you just like help me with this or beat this? And over just a lifetime of just being stuck and like wishing somebody would do it for me.
Oh yeah.
I was like, you know what? I'll do it myself. And so I was originally a content creator that did things for collectible card games, trading card games, and stuff like that.
Wow.
And I would teach people, here's how you build decks. This is how what the ratios are, what the numbers are. And they'd be a lot long. The videos are a little bit long, but people are like, wow, at least I understand now. I grasp, you know, the concepts behind it. I'm very much a teach a man to fish rather than give you the fish kind of content creator.
Yeah.
And then eventually one day, my friends, like I'd been playing E7 since launch, were like,
wow,
why don't you just do the same thing for E7? And I was like, surely somebody's already talked about these things before. And to my surprise, like there's not like super comprehensive ways to explain why things are the way they are. And so I was like, okay.
Perfect. That was like
show people how I play the game.
Exactly.
Awesome.
Especially with TPGs, are so complicated, all the mechanics, and like how do you actually build a deck too? Like to take those skills and bring them into like a game like Epic 7, which I like to call anime chess sometimes. It's like a very simplistic way.
It kind of is, yeah, if you think about it.
It's just it's a real-time simulator, but it's like you're playing chess. Like you know what the other people are gonna do, and like there's kits, but also breaking it down like why does this character do this? Why does this stat is important for this hero? And like your guides are very good at explaining that. At least for as a newbie, I'm like, oh yes, I need effect resistance because this, if I get impacted by this, is going to do way more damage or things like that.
Yeah. Someone says, draft for a man, he wins for a day. Teach a man to draft, he wins for life. Perfect. It's a perfect little analogy.
This is actually true. I'm confident in my ability to draft. I had friends who taught me that same philosophy, so now I impart it all to you.
Awesome. And, you know, just out of curiosity, I think I might have an inkling of an idea, but who is your favorite hero in Epic 7?
Sirmia and or Lionheart Sirmia, if you guys can't tell.
I don't know. I would never have guessed that.
You know, it's hard. It's hard.
I have a serious fondness for other characters. Corinne, Luna, the Kiseis, and then, of course, as I call her, God Queen Belly.
No, she's definitely God Queen.
We'll definitely talk a little bit about Bellion as well with these new little patches that came out today. But also, just before we get into that, there's a little event that's happening tomorrow.
Just a small one.
It's a small little event known as the Content Creator Battle, and I happen to see that you are a part of it. So, you know, let us know, like, what team are you on, and you know, what are you most excited for this event here?
I am very blessed to be on a very stacked team. The team name is, I believe, Forgotten Memory of Closer Charles, which I didn't have any input on that. Our team captain, KJ, he is the one that decided, because that's, I believe, his favorite character, so he wanted to have Closer Charles in the title. But yeah, KJ is my team captain, and I'm with Orbis Caster Clash, a friend of mine, Fart Pancakes, as well as Deity, who is a content creator that I respect, that I've been watching for a very long time. Before I was a content creator, I watched Deity. Deity back in the day, for those of you guys who don't know, was pretty big aggro / cleave player. He was definitely one of those ones to watch. And he's done a really good job helping new players, I feel like.
Yeah, for sure. I think both of you guys have been doing a great job with your guides. So for those who are interested in the Content Creator Battle, that'll be starting tomorrow at 7 p.m. PST. I know that the times were listed in UTC, but it is for us on the West Coast here. It is 7 p.m. PST. And
also, I believe, 10 o'clock EST, so Eastern Standard Time.
So, and you're on EST as well, so that'll be a good
That's
time.
rough for me, yeah. I'm the anchor for my team, by the way, which means I play last. And I'm on the latest time zone.
Well, I was going to say, you know what? We'll be there. We're going to be chatting.
We're going to be there in chat. So be sure to show up. And not only that, but we also have drops. So be sure to show up for the drops too.
Actually, Gimmick, what are the drops?
There are 3 leaves and 300k gold for
Ooh.
watching for at least 15 minutes.
That's
So,
not bad for
very-
15 minutes.
Yeah, very excited. But you should stay and watch the whole thing because I mean everyone's got to be here to cheer
Well,
on. So
I'm fully committed. I
we're,
need
we're,
to
all,
see.
we're all fully committed for sure.
Yes.
And are there any rivals maybe that you want to encounter, or any teams you really want to fight against?
Okay, so it's Divine.
Really?
Over this past year, Divine has become like a really close friend of mine. Like he's almost like a brother to me at this point. Like, you know, I've been to his house a couple times. We've had really good memories. He's basically made me a better content creator and a better person from his friendship. So like I really respect him. And you know, we have a little bit of rivalry in other games like Street Fighter. He kind of, you know, washes.
Okay.
Very good in that game. But you know, he's somebody again I respect. And it just so happens that the way the bracket has panned out, he and I are on opposite ends of the bracket, right?
Ooh.
So
Wow.
we could only play each other in the finals. Our teams would have to meet in the finals.
Ooh.
And we're both the anchors for our teams. which
Ooh,
means
that
I
is
can
really
play-
good.
The only way I can play my good friend is if it's for the whole tournament.
That
For
is
the
So it has to be Divine. It's
And-
like written in the stars. It has
Yeah.
to be Divine. If I go
Ooh.
the distance, I need to see Divine in the finals.
that's
Oh
out
my
of a
God.
movie.
See you there,
honestly.
buddy.
I need to see this.
Yeah.
I need to see
That
this
would be a lot of
happen.
fun.
Oh.
Because I mean, you two really, you guys two really like met after the Orbis Overdrive or Orbis Clash event, right?
Yes,
Because
yes.
yeah, both of you guys were participants there, and I mean, you had a really good showing there for sure. It was really fun to watch
Yes.
everybody there.
Yeah.
So it's cool to see how that's kind of evolved into like a little rivalry. So
Yeah.
It's a friendship rivalry.
yeah, it's a friendly rivalry. but
It's a
we-
friendly rivalry, yeah. Like I
Yeah.
said, we motivate each other to do bigger and better things.
That's always
onward
so
and
good.
upwards.
do it for friendship.
Yeah, the power of friendship.
It's like an anime.
Yeah, it really is like an anime, honestly.
Well,
We are playing the anime.
I was.
It's true. but
Sorry,
the
I wanted to steal your
animation-
line. I'm so sorry.
I'm guys.
I'm sorry.
You steal
like,
all
"I'm
my
done."
good lines.
I'm done.
I give credit to her on that one. That was. But anyways, let's go right into the patch for this week. So starting off with Dragon King Sharoon. I know I saw your video on your first impressions, and I know you had a little bit of what was it like? You were cooking something, weren't you? With
Yeah, I had the controversial take. I think I'm the most optimistic person when it comes to Dragon King
Wow.
Sharoon because I think the character is good. I know a lot of like players who are a little bit higher ranked than me. They are not super keen on her, but to be fair, we're literally on day one, right?
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
Still
First
plenty of
impressions.
time. I remember, I'm not gonna name names, but I remember content creators telling me Abyssal Euphine was not particularly good. She was pretty medium. on the
Ooh.
first
Oh, I
time we
remember
saw
that.
it. And so we saw how that turned out. So I'm not gonna write this character off. A lot of people already seem to have written her off, but the character is pretty decent. I feel like overall, like there's a lot of utility in standard. Obviously, good against Death Dealer Ray is the main thing that people think of, but there are other characters in the format. Ambitious Tywin shows up every once in a while. The character's very good into that matchup. Moon Bunny is a common counter pick, has to sleep on S1 if you accidentally sleep.
Yeah.
That could potentially snowball into a really bad situation for you.
Yeah, because Cascade
So-
triggers, yeah.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I didn't get the character yet. I'm hoping to get her, so I want to do a lot more testing. The character, again, good as a counter pick, good in standard, but also because of the strip and the CR pushback and the defense break, I think there's some aggressive applications for this character.
Yeah.
If you play her at like 250 speed plus, I think is pretty good. And then she is an anti-cleave character because someone like me who's slow, I use characters like Green Armin from time to time who has a stun. And then I also use like Sage Ball
Yep.
to get the drop on
Oh,
people.
yeah.
And this character denies those strategies while also being a way to basically give your team more gas, right? You're going to get a bigger CR push, like a push back on them, CR push up, you get the defense break on that mitigation. So in my head, I'm just like, this character does a lot of things. She might not be the best at everything, but like the character does a lot of things.
Yeah.
I
In
felt
a
like
lot
she
of
had a lot of
different,
utility.
scenarios.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So like I said, I'm
yeah.
not willing to just throw her away yet because I've definitely talked to some people over the last 24 hours who vehemently disagree with my opinion. They're like, it's great that you're an optimist, but this character ain't it.
Yeah, I've definitely seen a lot of discussion, and obviously, again, as you said at the very beginning, right, day one, and someone had also paired it in chat saying that people said that Euphine was not very good on release.
Oh, I
and
remember that. She's
where-
like, she wasn't doing enough damage.
where did that lead us? Where we are today, but it is very interesting to see good first impressions. And I really love to see people not only looking at how can I make this hero work at the moment, but also what am I cooking? Like, like special tech, what do I really think that it can really set this character apart that maybe other people aren't seeing?
Yeah, I would love to see more team comps because it is like everyone's saying, like day one. I really want to see maybe this is me being like a newbie and being like, I wonder if she seems pretty okay against Lua because I know Lua
can sleep. I think that she has some utility there. The hard part about Lua is mainly the turn 1 decrease. But it's
that's actually a pretty big thing that people always are complaining about to me is like similar to another red-haired collab hero that I won't name. What if your opponent just doesn't press buttons? Like, how do you get the passive to proc? So that's why I still think the character is decent, because the character has some usability in situations where they don't press buttons, which is usually a problem with characters like these. And we'll talk about, I guess, another character in a little bit that needed to press buttons but no longer needs to press buttons to counter things. So it's obviously better to have a counter that doesn't require you to press a button or your opponent to press a button.
For sure. And someone in chat, just before we move on to our next segment, someone was saying, how to build ML Sharun the best? What do you think, in your opinion, is like the best overall build? Like maybe not by numbers, but just kind of big focuses on stats.
I think for me, the way that I would probably approach it at the start, again, I don't have the character, so we'll see. I like to take Soul Weavers in a situation where they're hard to kill. I want to make sure my character is pretty bulky and I get a lot of value. Maybe I try like Celestine as an artifact at the start to get some sustain, go high defense, high HP, average speed, maybe like somewhere between 200 and 230, somewhere in that range, and then just a decent chunk of effectiveness.
So you're thinking speed set, right?
Yeah. So speed set, So speed set with like hit, or speed set with health, speed set with immunity. One of these is what I'm thinking. And that's the beauty of games like this. We take that into battle and we see how it goes, and if it doesn't work, we make adjustments. I mean, that's what Ace Trainer does. That's literally what he could basically attribute most of his success to that, just limit testing his ideas.
Definitely. And it's funny because I have been noticing that like I have regular Sharun as well, and I built her counter set with Celestine, and I see other people also building it in a very similar stat line system, like in a very similar way. So it's always fun to see how that kind of stuff like works out between characters. So, all right, well, that's everything I think we have for Dragon King Sharun. Let's move on into other aesthetic looks for Harmonic Conductor Belian. I know you talked about God Queen Belian just a second ago, so what are your thoughts? I'm sure there's no bias behind it at all.
Yeah, so I think I'm not a huge fan of the color scheme. I feel like some of the RTA skins we are a little muted. We're a little muted on, like, because the original Belian has this really like great golden, white, blue palette, and this is more monochromatic, where it's just white gold kind of. It's a little bit more muted, which I'm not a big fan, but I really like the sound effects. And then obviously Bethany's ult is really good as the voice of Belian. I forget the line. I haven't played with the skin enough yet. So it's like one of her S3 lines is I forget, what does she say? She's just like, you should conduct yourself to stop the beating of your own heart or something.
Good Lord.
And I was like, is this just a really elaborate way for her to say
you should stop the beating of your heart now. Good Lord.
I was just like, okay, that's pretty good. But yeah, the sound effects, the animations, the voice delivery is all really, really good. I do like it a lot. Shout outs to those of you in my Discord for pointing out that the character has physics. That gave me a pretty good laugh.
I will say, Gimmick and I were like talking about, as we were watching her thing, and we're like, oh, there's some physics.
We literally looked at it. We looked at it. We went, huh. And that was
interesting.
As Belian intended. For those of you who played the story, not spoiling it. This is her efficient combat form with high heals and other things.
Of course. As we know, as we obviously know.
I was gonna ask, because I know her skin, I also feel is very similar to her base skin, with that kind of like white flowing. Her base is white blue, and now the skin is just white gold. What kind of color palette, or like how would you change it up with just like the theme of like having harmonic conductor? Like what would have preferred?
That's hard. Like that's a really tough. So I don't know, like, what could we have mixed it up with? Because I feel like your mind goes towards like black, right? So like black gold is what most people think. But that also, depending on how you do it, could also be the same problem.
True.
I don't know.
I mean, you could have it like, we look at like marching bands, right? You could have the red, but I don't know, like
Yeah.
a red and gold kind of look. That might be nice.
That would look good.
Yeah, I would love to have seen the concept art for this because like I just got the volume 2 of the E7 art book, which by the way you should definitely get. It's really good, and it has concept art for a lot of the actual characters. And seeing alternate color schemes of like what we could have had, like I saw Requiem Rwanas, I was like,
ooh, yeah.
Wait, it's blue and purple. Why?
Wait,
like,
what?
I want
Yeah.
that. I want that.
peeked in this video
I
a
want the
little bit.
blue and purple version of this character. Like she has like, you know, this like very pale purple hair. And I was like, that's so much cooler than what we got.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm gonna defend my girl Emma Rwana. She has a great design.
She slays.
Excuse you.
She slays.
She
No,
slays.
it is definitely a good design. I'm not gonna say it's not a good design, but it could be even better.
You know, I need to check. I need to steal Gimmick's art book and take a look
Do
at
not
it.
steal my art book.
Okay.
I just got it, all right? But if you were to have another character, another ML5 to be given an RTA skin, and chat, feel free to yell whatever you guys think.
Yes, please let us know.
What RTA skin would you have for your choice, and what would they look like?
Is this a real question?
Yeah.
It's clearly like.
Oh, okay. Oh, it's sarcasm.
If I could actually,
It's
like,
sarcasm.
it's
I
either,
know.
it's very close though. Like, it's not as like clear cut as you guys think. Like, I'll be still gonna choose Lionheart Servia. That's my baby. But Sylvan Sage Vivian is pretty close as well. 'Cause
Sylvan
I
Sage.
think that character is flawless. But yeah, Lionheart. Don't want to name the series, the anime, but if you've watched a lot of older anime, there is something about Surmi that exudes this 90s aesthetic, 90s anime girl aesthetic.
Yes.
And there is absolutely a very famous mage from the 90s in anime that has a MOBA character named after her. I would love to see that aesthetic.
Okay.
It's got
Alright.
the orange hair, the yellow shirt with the cape and everything. I think it is like the character feels very inspired by that character. So I'd like to see them fully lean into it. It's like kind of how Last Rider Crow was very heavily referenced from another action
franchise?
game. Yeah, another franchise that I don't want to name.
Something similar.
Yeah, and so his RTA skin is a reference to the tutorial skin from said game that he's very clearly referenced from. So I would love to see basically like a prototype version of Lionheart Surmia where it's clearly leaning into what is her inspiration.
Ooh, that'd be cool.
I'm also seeing people in the chat call out Briar Witch Isaria,
I saw
another fan
Rylet,
favorite.
yeah.
Another
so
fan favorite. Luna.
Dandy Croc in the chat, you got it. That's exactly what I'm looking for with that design.
Someone said male Stenny skin. I remember when we talked about when Luca talked about the female Arby skin, a lot of people went crazy. So maybe some gender swaps. Who knows?
That'd be
Who knows?
interesting. We really haven't seen a ton of that. Even
I don't think there has been.
No,
one yet,
not at all.
The closest we have is Troublemaker Crozet, which is just a different dude, which is like kind of similar.
it is.
It's just
a whole other
different
dude.
But yeah, I mean, Lionheart Surmia is like a really good choice for sure, for sure.
Yes.
Someone saying I agree with that. Yeah, totally agree with the Lionheart Surmia.
Yeah,
Totally.
Oh,
All right, so let's go into. Oh, do you have any other last thoughts on that, or?
No, I'm just saying she's the best.
Yeah, fair enough. So before we get into the big meat of what everyone wants to talk about, let's quickly talk about the side story. Have you been able to go in a little bit into the side story? This is one of the ones where you complete missions, and then after you complete those missions, you reveal a tile, which can then be exchanged for reward. These ones are a little bit easier to commit to. Like, I know that we've been straying away a little bit from like the stage by stage events for side stories. Those are kind of kept to the ones in the story side stories.
Yep.
But I just want to get your thoughts on that. I know some people were talking about some of the rewards could be a little bit different, but yeah, I just want to get your first initial thoughts on it so far.
Yeah. So I'm not super big on them. I'm about like, I would say like a row and a half through them. And if you really try, you can beat it well within an hour. So for people who are looking for like a ton of content like me, like I'm looking for a lot of PvE content.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a little lacking in that part, but the stories are usually pretty good. So
Yeah.
we'll give you a pass there. The biggest thing I think that it could use is why is the equipment not 85 plus in all of
Yep,
these?
that's
Like,
the one.
Yeah, I've
That's
seen
the
some
one.
comments about that. Yeah, definitely.
I mean, I went ahead and plus 15 it already just because I like the look of the equipment, but I know there's a lot of people who talk about wanting 88 instead of 78. And chat, you can back me up on this. We'd love to see as many people agreeing with that so we can note it down. But yeah, I definitely can see where you're coming from on like the stage by stage can be really fun. There's definitely a lot of those like PvE ones that aren't super grindy. Like, for example, the Bilbus one, right? I really liked the Twilight Zone stages. Those are fun. Those are pretty fun.
Yes,
And
that was a really fun event. Like the stages and then the rewards were pretty good in that event. Like
Yeah.
I waited till the last minute, so I didn't realize how good it was, and then I was like, wait, I get this really good piece of gear. Oh my, why are there so many Molagors?
yeah, tons of moles.
So much fun.
So that was a really good event. Maybe not the gardening simulator, but everything else was really good about that event.
Yeah. I think they've been mixing it up a little bit. So,
Yeah, definitely. I feel like over the past kind of like 6 months, they've been really experimenting. We see like the tiles, and then we saw like G. Lilius's side story, which had like the brawl mode.
We love brawl mode.
Brawl was the best.
Brawl was definitely a lot of fun. I had a lot
right.
of fun with the Lethe one. I know there was a lot that went down during that time, but the Lethe one ended up being pretty nice for the equipment.
I was gonna say I did grind it a little bit.
Yeah. Will we ever get Brawl back? Ooh, I really want Brawl back too.
Ooh,
Trust me.
Yeah, I do too. That was
we all
one
dream.
of the biggest. That was one of the biggest highlights for E7. I think in 2023. It's one of the things I highlighted in my 2023 year in review video.
Yeah.
Super fun.
Super fun. All right, so I think that does bring us to the very fun segment. So for the Sanctuary, we always like to have a little fun little activity. So I thought it'd be a fun time to build a little tier list on what Sue thinks about the current balance adjustment. And I know, keep your pitchforks away from us. You know, go for them. You know, they're fine. But
I don't know anything. I'm just here. I'm here.
But yeah, don't shoot the messengers. You know, we're here to talk about what we feel like about the balance patch. So without further ado, let's go right into the Sanctuary segment here. And I've got my little tier list here.
So cute.
Yes, shout out to Cecilia Bot. But yeah, we've got some different tiers here. We have 3 major tiers. We have significantly improves the hero. So if we really thought that these balance adjustments really did a great job of improving the hero and making them a viable pick in the current day. Unsure, you know, it is day 1, so it is a lot of initial reactions, a lot of initial testing. So maybe some things need a little bit more testing in the future, and then, you know, for the ones who might need a little bit of improvement in the future.
Yeah. And additionally, I just wanted to call out, I do have a notebook in front of me. I will be taking notes, and then we will be sending this directly to headquarters. So thoughts, feelings, everything. Give it to me.
Indeed. So we have all of our heroes listed here, and I also do have Elvira because that was another big thing.
And who's that at the bottom? Because I don't remember seeing them in the patch.
We don't talk about them right now. You know, we had a little thing happen. Nothing really big happened. There is no bounce patch in Babise. But anyways, we do have all of our heroes listed out, and you know, Alots, he's there in spirit to celebrate with us.
You know, he's cheering us on.
Yes, exactly. As he is with, I had to pull out Alots for a friend's Zio 1010. That close.
Oh,
Cheer him on. But anyways, let us go right into all of these notes, starting off with Judge Kisei, who received a bit of a rework. The biggest things mainly being that her skill 2 now has defense break and the unable to counter debuff, and then her skill 3 only does -1 to cooldowns, but also in place of a skill nullifier, places a invincibility buff.
Yes.
So, you know, what are you thinking about, you know, how she is currently? Have you gotten a chance to test her? Have you seen her? You know, just let us know what your thoughts are currently about that.
No, sadly, I have not gotten a chance to test this character, which I was dreading because it's not my playstyle, and my playstyle dreads characters like Lua and not Qual, and I was like, oh no, they're gonna make her another one of these, and that really made me upset about it originally. I was like, okay, she's gonna be just super snapped, but at the end of the day, I just thought maybe she's just like the 3rd best option. Like Lua's number 1, Nax number 2, Judge Kisei's number 3. And that's kind of true, actually. But she's like a distant 3rd. Because those characters have Guiding Light and Lua's faster, so not exactly the best if you want to actually reset a character. And then she's got the defense break like Ran or Briar Witch, but they're either faster or more reliable than her. So that's kind of rough. And they have obviously a better defense percentage break than Judge Kisei, who I believe is 75, right?
Yeah.
And that's kind of inconsistent. So already we're off to not a great start. And then you start to realize that there are characters like Savior Auden that dodge and counter, so that gets around the counter buff. And then like Edward Elric has the ability to use his Rise ability to hit you back as well on that, and you're like, wait a minute, this character could be easily disrupted, isn't consistent. What was I worried about?
Right.
So yeah, Judge Kisei, I think, may need further improvement in the future.
Okay,
Yeah.
so we'll move.
And that hurts
right there.
because if you've been following me for a while, you know this is one of the characters that got me to download and play Epic 7. This is
Wow.
one of my favorite characters in the game. I can't play her because she's not good, and I wish she got a rework. I thought this would be at least enough to get some playability out of her, but I don't know. From everything I have seen, she does not seem particularly good.
I'm seeing, some similar messages saying that, hard to gear, even harder to run, just pretty tough to work with right now. So I think that we can all, pray that she gets a little bit of extra oomph in the future for sure.
It's the same issue she's always had. She's a warrior, which means no protection. She's got the Virgo Zodiac sign, which means she's mid-speed, and her attack is abysmal. It's one of the worst, if not the worst, amongst a 5-star attacker in the whole game. So, like, can't deal damage, inconsistent percentages, not fast enough, no protection. No matter what you give the kit, it's not going to change those things. So rework it into something else, maybe?
Okay, yeah, it's totally fair. All right, so that's on to our next one, which is Specimen Says.
Not controversial at all, any of his changes.
No, not at all.
Nothing.
Oh,
It was one
got
major
to-
change, being that his 20% counter buff, which acted similar to Elbrus when his S3 was available, now is evasion. So he gets passive evasion now instead when his cooldown is available.
yeah.
So what do you
This was
think?
one in my impressions, my balance adjusted preview impressions video. I was very high on this change. Like I stuck to my guns, and I was confident Spez was going to be very good because he is, again, Zodiac symbol, Scorpio Thief. Good attack score, good speed, best health in the game, right? Problem is, defense score is the worst in the entire game. So no matter what, he will always be made of paper, he will always die early, and he can never do his job. And if you've actually looked at Spez's multipliers, they're quite good. Lightstorm is a 1.5x multiplier with 100% defense pen on its condition. For reference, Watcher Shuri is a 0.95x attack multiplier.
Wow.
He does obscene amounts of damage. The problem is he can't survive.
Yeah. He's just a big glass
yeah,
cannon.
All of the Scorpio Thieves in this game that are playable are because they have dodge in the kit. Like a Celine, for example, right? So the second we gave him dodge, I was like, okay, he's great now. And everyone fought me on this, and I had to really fight back, I feel like, on social media. Because people thought dodge wasn't enough, but he's got 50% dodge now. He's got 20% from the artifacts, so that's 70% dodge.
Yep, like any other evasion.
If it's Decrescent and he counters, that's potentially game ending, and his S3 can kill a character in one hit.
Yeah.
And people said that wasn't enough.
I've seen
70%, and that's not enough?
I've seen some crazy things going on. I saw earlier a match where he soul burned S2 and dealt 17k to standing. I was like,
Yes.
That's an AoE.
Yeah, multipliers are very good. But the character I just described to you all, that's Savior Auden. That's literally Savior Auden.
Fair enough.
Made him into Savior Auden, which is the character everyone says is too good. Please nerf. They made Spez that, and apparently it wasn't too good. So yeah, what I'm getting at in a very roundabout way is significantly improves the hero. I called this one from a mile deep, and I'm so happy that everyone has realized in this first couple hours, this character's nuts now.
Well, we hope to see a lot of Spez in the next couple of matches. I want to see Spez during CCB then.
Ooh,
Definitely.
maybe we'll see some play.
Yeah. All right, so moving on to our next hero, we have Spirit Eye Celine. So she kind of had a bit of a damage rework, right? So the biggest thing was that her buff that she gives herself now increases her attack, but it also pushed down her damage a little bit as well, I believe, on her Nimble Sword. So it's pretty interesting to see, what that is. I kind of feel like it keeps people kind of on the same spot, but I want to know what you think about Spirit Eye Celine in the current state.
I think you're right. You hit it on the head. I think she is pretty much in the exact same spot. You could basically put her in the middle. Like, I know it's not quite the same, unsure, or needs more testing.
Yeah,
but
it's
this
kind of a
character,
mid-range, right? Yeah.
The character doesn't really need any changes. What people I feel like want, from what I see from my comment section and from around social media and stuff, is people want her to be more broadly applicable. right? They want her to be able to be picked earlier in the draft, not be a niche counter pick. The problem is if you increase the scope where she could be picked like first pick or second pick in a draft, it's really toxic and bad for the health of the game.
Yeah.
So like her kit is perfect as is. If you try to change it, it is either going to make the character worse or do catastrophic damage to the game. So this is one character I never want to see on a balance adjustment sheet.
That's fair. Yeah, some people are saying that, you know, one of her biggest weaknesses at the moment are mainly fixed damage. So, you know.
But that's what gives her counterplay. Like, characters have to have counterplay.
I was say,
that's the main
if you give her a way for her to deal with that, that makes a character that is very hard to stop.
Yeah.
So, you know, people are saying, kind of just changes not too much about Selena at the moment. So, you know, I'm going to leave that middle tier as in, you know, doesn't really do too much, but also she's in a good spot as it is, right? But also, shout outs to G-Clef in chat. Hello. Welcome into the chat.
Yeah, she definitely still needs counterplay.
Yeah, definitely. Like, there's only a few ways that I try to counterplay her, which is either fixed damage or like soul burning with Stenny. And even then, right, if I use soul burn with Stenny, mitigation makes it much harder. So
like if she's actually unkillable, like, then you can't win the game. And she generates so many souls with her passive.
Yeah, Dust Devil, just crazy. So she's kind of in the neutral spot here. Moving on to Elena. So Elena had it so that her skill 2 now dispels a debuff when being hit with an AoE, and then her exclusive equipment, excuse me, was changed to dispel an additional debuff as well. So that means that I know a lot of people like to pair her with Doctor's Bag. So this is now a lot of debuffs to be pulled away from when getting AoE'd.
So I already play Elena in the current, like the previous meta we just had in the Insight season. And I think she's really good into certain cleave matchups. Like the character is very good. I play her decently fast on Exif Gadget, which is a limited artifact that is basically Magaraja's Tome, but also steals souls.
That's right.
The character is very good against AoE cleave. I feel like there are a couple of edge cases that aren't the best, like Briar Witch, for example. The change to her exclusive equipment in this makes it so that you can actually draft her into Briar Witch because you get rid of the exact 2 buffs that stop you.
Right,
that Briar Witch is going to lay down.
Yeah, Death Break and unbuffable, right?
Yeah, the character I think is already good, and you just made her have another edge case against a character that's commonly played at high level and bans pretty frequently. So I would say, even though it's not really a significant improvement, having a strong matchup into something that's really, really good, it can't be a bad thing. Like, I already think this character is quite playable and quite good.
Yeah.
So
it just kind of enhances her, maybe just adds more playability to different levels too.
Lets her do her role better.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I've definitely noticed in like the lower ranks, like I've seen a lot more Elena kind of coming through more and more. So.
Okay, well, here comes the fun part.
Nothing wrong.
Here's the controversial
Here comes the fun part. We have Hua Yang. So she got an entirely new rework. Her previous design was based on health difference scaling, and now it is on attack difference scaling for defense pen. She also changes the way that she gains attack buff and changes the way a little bit. She also got her little extra damage proc as well. So there's a lot going on with this character. And I know there's a lot of mixed opinions across different places, but this is where we bring you in to say, you know, do you feel like you have any strong opinions on her right now, or how you feel about her?
I am leaning towards she is improved, but I still want to err on the side of caution and say unsure or needs more testing. So the thing is, the character's S1 is significantly better than it used to be. Like, I watched Kev earlier today, and he put up 17 or 18k damage on a soul burn on that thing.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, that's some damage. That is way better than the state that she was in. Now here's the problem. I've seen everything it feels like in between. Every opinion and every like case I've seen for the S3. Like, I've seen S3 fail to kill. I've seen S3 come close to killing. I've seen S3 almost absolutely just like destroy a tank or whatever have you.
Overkill.
And it's really, really dependent. From what I hear from people is, oh, do you have vigor? Do you have, do they have mid, right? Are you in this very oddly specific scenario? And again, I haven't gotten to test too much with her, so I can't really speak to that. To me, the character seems really good in the 3 to 5 pick slot for RTA. I think that she's a fine character. And I know people are going to get really upset about that. I think she is better than where she was. I just think people really want her to be old Hua. and I don't really think that's good for the game. I think this is definitely like a test. It's definitely an improvement, but it might only be a small one, and in which case then obviously might need more improvements in the future.
Definitely.
But overall, like I said, I have seen pretty good results. Like Elf Mage did very well with the character. Granted, he's obviously one of the best players in the world, has some of the best gear.
Indeed.
And he's playing her on an artifact that not everyone really has at a high level, which is a Little Queen's Huge Crown.
That's right.
Yeah.
So, like, that's all I keep hearing. It's artifact that nobody has. Need to see Lilius.
I have like 3.
Impossible to build.
Yeah, I was gonna say, what team other than Seed Lilius, who do you think she really? What other heroes do you think she would rely on?
Like pair well with, yeah.
Yeah.
That's a tough one. Like, I know the S3 penetrates, but the S1, like I said, does so much extra damage. Like, having anything that can set up a defense break on the team makes that the new Soulburn do a lot of damage. I don't know, just anything that can just, like, I guess, like, keep her safe early on, because that's the other thing. She's a little bit vulnerable now to debuffs before, because she doesn't get the attack. She doesn't get the attack buff. So I just think, like, your generic supports and just keeping it kind of steady will work out. Like, you kind of want to play her somewhere in the faster end of standard to like the lower end of aggro. I don't know if that makes sense, but that's where I'm thinking. Like, if you are like slightly aggressive, like you are a more aggressive standard, like standard v standard, if you are the more aggressive player, I think that's where Hua Young really comes into her own, where she gets a lot better. Like, again, the character at least can play a bruiser game and play several turns now for the S1. Like, it's not like before where you press S3, it doesn't kill. Okay, this character is absolutely useless at that point because she's squishy and she doesn't do any damage at us.
Right, she exhausts a lot of resources, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, now you can build her actually kind of tanky and actually have good S1 damage, so you can play for that second Monarch's Flaming Strike, the S3. You can play for that. And I think that, to me, that's valuable, right? Whether I get the kill or not, obviously I want the kill, right? Because it helps me win the game.
Yeah.
But at least my off turns are actually somewhat good.
Definitely. I'm seeing some people saying Mediator may be a good choice too, with the attack buff cleanse and also the S2 for attack down. I was thinking maybe even Abyssal Youthfiend could be a great secondary defense or DPS to bring along, right, to get that AoE attack break.
Even
a lot of good
Sharoon for the attack down. Let's go.
Oh, yeah.
Ooh.
Totally. All right, so that brings us to our next hero, which is Command Model Leica. So let's talk about her a little bit. She basically mainly was an efficiency or like a consistency buff. So her sleep is now 100% chance, and with her EE that used to be a 10% sleep chance buff, now is -1 buff cooldown on the allies or on the enemies before using S3. So.
Yeah. I don't really think this changes a lot. For me, Leica is a Katie's farmer. For some other people, she is a cleave opener or like a speed contester.
Fair enough.
And I feel like, to me, that draft has kind of been figured out a lot. Like, a lot of people play Rimuru into that. And the S2 at least gives you a button to press, so you don't feel like you just auto-die in that matchup. So that's a win for me. But otherwise, I think her use cases are pretty much exactly the same.
Okay.
You guys in chat can let me know, but for me, she feels largely the same. So I would probably put her in the middle, the middle group.
Gotcha.
Definitely not worse. It's definitely not worse, right? I still think she's a fine unit.
Right.
But nothing exciting, right?
Yeah. Also, someone's saying that the -1 buffs is for S2, not S3. My mistake on that.
Yes. I know that. It's just because the thing is, when you have Leica and she's on Guiding Light, which is what most people play her on as an opener, and they have Rimuru, no matter what you press, it will trigger, right? It's going to end up triggering because it's either going to give an attack buff to somebody and Rimuru is going to snag that, or you're going to get hit from the S1 or the S3 because you're stealth. So I figured if I'm going to get hit, at least give me the option to get rid of whatever to put down focus and just go in on them.
Right, to put on target.
That's what I'm saying. That is basically the improved use case in my book.
Definitely.
Which is fine, but again, it's not going to, open up anything new for the character that she already didn't have.
For sure. All right, that brings us to our next hero, which is Infinite Horizon Acades. Now, some people are saying this little number added is not enough. I personally think that it's quite a good amount because what it is that, so Infinite Horizon Acades, when she has her skill 3 available, whenever an enemy ends their turn, she'll push herself up by 15%. That is now up to 20%, which is on par with Sage Ball. And I think that that's, personally, in my opinion, I think that's a very good change. Like, because think about how many turns people take, right? It's constant cycling, right? But 5% really builds up over time. Like, think about it. 3 people take a turn, right? That is 45% usually, and it goes up to 60% now because it's an extra 15%. Like, it's the numbers, the numbers add up.
She just keeps moving up and up and up.
Yeah, and her skill 2 is 2-turn cooldown, so she's just constantly cycling.
Wow.
So.
Yeah, I really like this character already. I think she's really fun to play. And I am inclined to agree with you. I do think that it improves the hero. Not significantly, but it is an improvement. So
Maybe I should change this here to just improve the hero.
Improves the hero.
There we
It does
go.
improve the hero because I agree with you. Like, I am known as a slower player. I can play aggro. I am aware of how to play cleave. My account just doesn't support it. But for me, when I'm in these anti-cleave scenarios, because I get cleaved a lot on ladder, for me, every single point matters. Like, Holiday Euphine, the difference between like 2 speed might be enough to just win me or lose me the game. Like, nothing is more infuriating than hitting the hourglass in the top left and seeing 99%, and then your opponent's at 100%, and then you lose the game because of it.
Yeah,
So
getting
literally
cut.
1% is enough sometimes.
Yeah.
So having 5%, that's enough. And again, this character is pretty good because if assuming your opponent doesn't have Politis or Abyssal to cut down your CR push,
Right.
if you actually take the turn, like you said, to CR push on the S2, you get whatever your kill condition is, Karina, Last Rider to mess them up, whatever you want, right?
Yeah.
And you just take over the game from there.
She does a great job being a disruptor, definitely.
Yes.
As
Yeah,
someone
she's
saying,
just another thing that another tool in the slow player kit,
definitely.
right? At least a more reliable one.
Definitely. Someone saying, I remember Mashu lost the game to ML Katie's in a stream. I'm sure he didn't forget that either. But yeah. Definitely a very interesting character choice for sure. All right. For the next one, this one is very simple, and so I'm going to talk about these two together actually. Ramon and for Momo. So Ramon, mainly his skill 2 changed from increasing damage like based on a certain requirement to now applying restrict on top of his 2 poison debuffs. So I know that doesn't sound like too much at the moment, but maybe there might be something for the future on that. And then for Montmorency and her specialty change, Angelic Montmorency, her sleep condition is now from 50% chance to sleep to 75%. And I will say she, I think, is the only sleep hero on S1 who does not have the condition where she cannot trigger dual attack, which is pretty interesting. It's rough. But it's a Momo moment.
It's just a Momo moment.
I do like using Momo even in PvP, and I have to say, when she does sleep, super clutch.
Oh my gosh, I use her all the time, and it's very rare that I can actually get Momo to sleep somebody. So now that it's increasing, I'm like, oh, maybe finally
Maybe something will work.
Maybe something will work.
Yeah, but for these two, quick thoughts. What do you think about these two heroes, right?
All right, for Momo, I think the character is already one of the best free-to-play friendly PvE characters in the game.
Definitely.
Great in Nightmare, great in Abyss.
Oh yeah.
Great in Wyvern.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't really need, like, if you're gonna give me a buff, sure, cool, I'm here for it. But the character's already great, so doesn't really matter. As for the other character, Whomst.
Understandable. I mean, Benevolent Roman was buffed a couple patches ago, but
Yeah, I know. Literally who? This character I don't think has ever been relevant at any point in Epic 7's lifespan. So the only thing I'm left to believe is Rift. That's it. It's got to be Rift. This is something to set up for the future. Kind of like how when they gave ROL Escort, I was like, cool, that's a specialty change in the next 6 months. That's the only thing that makes sense. It's got to be for Rift.
Yeah, totally fair. So I guess we'll leave those two there just because it doesn't make too much of a major impact at the moment, but we'll have to see with the future. And finally, I'm sure a lot of people want to talk about this, Elvira. So
she's the best character of all time. What are you talking about? She doesn't need to change
no
it.
Controversy
No
whatsoever.
controversy.
No. We're doing this again. But honestly, I think that Elvira being changed so that her skill cooldown can't be manipulated in any way is very interesting. So that means that not only does it mean, okay, she can't be the prophetic candlestick holder anymore, that also means she doesn't have to deal with issues like Judge Kisei, but mainly Lua and Naqual being, having her skill cooldown taken away, and then she can't set up her whole system. But she now also constantly restricts Fighting Spirit, which is pretty interesting too.
I gotta say though, this is a bit of nerd humor, but I still think it's really funny that you guys cast the woman famous for being the girl who was an army of one as a character, that is literally an army of one that ended up needing to get nerfed as a result. I still think that's really, really funny.
It's how it is.
But as for her actual changes, I did a whole video breaking this down. The character had like three core issues. One, obviously the prophetic candlestick cheese that needed to go. Two, the character needed to get immortality up before she actually did anything, which means that either she needs to be fast to get a turn, bulky so she doesn't get one tapped, or have high enough ER where she doesn't get control before she gets to do it. Now, obviously, you get the passive just straight up for existing. Some people say that that's not good game design. I'm slightly inclined to agree, but Pandora's box has already been opened with characters like Solitaria and Bellion, so we're here now. The character, people would lament if it didn't have that change, so sure. And then the third one is just lack of damage. The character's multipliers are honestly laughable. I have not gotten to see how much extra damage is on the S2 now, but the extra utility on the S2, like the extra attack I should say on the S1, seems pretty good. That gives you something to be happy about. And then obviously the defense break on the S3 is massive because defense break is a pretty overpowered buff. I don't know if you noticed, it's the backbone of pretty much all PvE content. And it's pretty much how cleavers kill you. So yeah. So that's a good set of changes. Significantly improves the hero, in my opinion. She's definitely good. I don't think anyone should be complaining about the current state of this character. I think she's good.
Yeah, I feel like she's pretty good at like pushing back against MLU Fiend, maybe Landy, because they're just they're just taking over the meta. Just something to like push back a little bit.
She hurts my girl Lionheart, which pains me. Makes Lionheart significantly worse, but it's okay. We like kick girls too.
We like kick girls. We can kick in the air.
I mean, a necessary evil in your eyes, I'm sure. But this looks like to be our overall tier list for the 118 balance adjustment. Honestly,
pretty solid.
Yeah, pretty solid given that, there's three that kind of might need a little bit more testing, and mainly just one hero who feels like, they might need to go back to the drawing board a little bit, but
that's still shocking too, because like I had, when we went into this, when I did my initial impressions, I was confident Judge Kisei was going to be the winner, and I was dead wrong. I feel like, and that goes to show you, I could be wrong. I'm human. I am not infallible. I feel like I have a pretty good track record of predicting where characters end up, but again, sometimes you miss the mark.
Definitely. I mean, it happens. There are things that just need to keep going through again, and and I understand that's why a lot of people are saying, hey, let's have more frequent balance matches and stuff like that. But I guess that leads me to my little extra secret question. So Sue and I talked a little bit before stream about who should be balanced next, and I know there's a lot of comments, a lot of people. Feel free to get your voices out right now. I already know who's gonna. I already know who's gonna be there.
I have a counter for ML Furious, and I know the usual suspects.
So
Ryoko, right on it.
So without further ado, let us slowly slide.
So my choices here. So my bias pick.
Here is Sue's top 5 wish list for the balance adjustments.
Ooh. I will say this: the honorable mention, the one that barely didn't make the list, is Blue Tywin.
Blue Tywin. We did talk about that a little bit.
He's almost there. But yeah, this is my list. So, Blood Moon Haste. He doesn't have an identity. He doesn't. He is basically, if you pull him, you better be a new player that's struggling with Asthmatic 13, because that's, I think, the only use case he has.
Number one, Asthmatic 13, Soul Weaver.
I was going to ask, I've only heard rumors and tales and myths of Blood Moon Haste. So what is his issue? Just what is he?
So when he came out, he was meant to counter Arbiter Villager, because Arbiter Villager would just cleave through your whole team, right? So when he, when somebody revives, it activates the passive Grudge, which gives you immunity and a huge barrier so that RB can't cleave through it, and it resets the S3 cooldown, right? Which is pretty good because it enables this really fun mini game against Maid Chloe where you get to just use his true damage S3 heal over and over and over again as they revive, and it's really sick.
Oh my gosh.
So that's a really fun role. The problem is we are in 2024 where it's super easy to just get rid of the barriers, strip them. Unbuffable literally hoses the whole character. Briar Witch is a better option for a more favorable playstyle, which is aggressive. And she's just somehow harder to deal with. Like, just overall, Briar Witch has just completely eclipsed this character in almost every single facet of the game, and she just does more stuff, right? And it's harder to interact with, and he is significantly easier to interact with, and doesn't really do a whole heck of a lot. Like, right, when he doesn't have S3 up, his S1 is just cool. Maybe it's basically an ROL S1 without the CR push and without the healing.
Gotcha.
Right. Just a little touch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, I think that might be interesting is, you know, if we wanted to keep him in the realm of like a revival counter, right? I mean, we saw what happened with Moon Bunny Dominial, right? Where she got this full cleanse and then full skill nullifier. I think like something like that might be an interesting perspective. Or, you know, some people are saying he needs a full rework to just do something else aside from countering revives, which honestly, aside from Destina and from Abyssal Euphine, revives aren't super prominent nowadays.
I was
are they?
gonna say, I feel like
they're really not. Yeah.
I was gonna say
That'll lean later on to one of our characters later.
I see.
yeah.
You got it?
I was gonna say, like, it just felt like this hero is very made for when the game kind of launched, and how the meta has progressed, and he just like kind of fell to the wayside. Like, he's not viable anymore.
Yeah, there was a time period where Blood Moon Haste felt like the best character in RTA in the whole game, and now he is just nowhere to be found.
Yeah.
Just doesn't have a role, and this is a game about choosing the right tool for the right job.
Totally.
He's never the right tool for the job, ever.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to the next hero you have. You have Luna here.
So
Okay,
what is
this is my bias pick.
Okay. Understandable.
all right.
Understandable.
It's okay. We all have them.
Yeah, so Luna is the character that got me to really want to play the game. Not the one that got me initially interested in it, but the one that really made me stay for it. I'll make a video at some point on when Luna When, which was like a huge craze at the start of the game. Because if you don't know, Luna was KR server exclusive at the start.
Wow.
Oh.
And this character was like pandemonium when she came out. She is, I believe, to this day still the highest grossing character that Epic 7 has ever had, the most successful banner. People love this character. She's on the back cover of the newest art book that just came out this week, by the way.
Really?
So they know that they know this character is popular. They know she's popular. She is literally the, in case of emergency, break glass character for them to release an ML or a limited version of her. Like if things ever get dire, this is the character I expect them to fall back on. We're in 2024. This is the year of the dragon. My girl should have some version of her be meta by the end of the year, or I feel like Smilegate has failed this player base, at least us old heads.
I see. I see.
Let me just write, year dragon, improve Luna, make more, like, best.
Make Mort best.
Make more.
Yeah, if you want to add something else, yeah, Mort needs damage. He doesn't have damage. You can add that.
Mort needs to put a shirt on, all right?
This is his
doesn't.
buff. He'll get like mithril or something like that. Now he's improved.
And then let's do a little quick rapid fire for the last three here. So we have Teiyu, Ruel of Light, and Fallen Cecilia.
Okay, so Teiyu, I just don't know what this character is supposed to, like, it's just not an enjoyable character. He doesn't really have a role. And what role you think he has, he's not good at it. He's not enjoyable in the story. I just don't understand the entire purpose of the character. You could delete him tomorrow, and straight up, I don't think anyone would care. Ruel is my favorite Soul Weaver in the game, and she feels so outdated. She's bad at sustaining the team, no tempo in drafts. Revive feels outclassed by some of the other revivers we have in the format. Like, again, like we talked about with Haste, doesn't really feel like she has a niche. Yes, she's the strongest single target reviver, but that's not good. Make her do something good. And then Fallen Cecilia, this is probably my controversial pick because I know like Lunal really likes Fallen Cecilia, at least into Cleave. He thinks that Fallen Cecilia is very good at Cleave. I'm not disagreeing with that. The thing is, Eaton, who is a 3-star, is a serviceable replacement for an ML 5-star in that role. And in some cases, he's better than her in that role. And then ROL is just a significantly better tank in standard. Crimson Armin is a better tank in standard with better mitigation. Like,
wow.
There never feels like there is a time to want to take Fallen Cecilia. And even if there is, there's probably similar alternatives, which makes me think that, yeah, she needs something.
Yeah.
Understandable.
I was not expecting the Eaton like call out too.
Yes.
So in terms of if we wanted to order these by your priority on who you would want the most to lease, how would you order these 5?
Luna, FCC, Ruel, Haste.
I see. Let me see if I can do that. Taste. You said Ruel, Taste, Teiyu. There we go. Bam.
Ooh.
All right. Well, there you have it. So here is our balanced tier list from I'm Sue. Feel free to agree, disagree, add any more comments
Yeah.
as you see fit. Once again, to review over, this is how we felt about the balance adjustment for today. Mostly positive, which I'm really happy to see. And yeah, hopefully, you know, I know everyone talks about more frequency of balance patches, more open information, stuff like that. And you know, we will keep trying to send that over to them. Maybe some more will happen in the future, but
I think that's about it.
yeah, I think it's about everything that we have for today. So once again, thank you guys so much for coming out.
And thank you, Sue, for coming out as well. It's been such a pleasure talking with you again and all your insight on everything.
Thank you.
Yeah.
What are you doing right now? And what do you like? Shout out your socials.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you for having me on. Obviously, I'm getting ready for the CCB, which will be on tomorrow night. So please check it
Alright,
out.
we'll be
7
there.
p.m. PST, 10 p.m. EST. Again, if you have any questions, you can check me on my stream, twitch.tv /IM_TSU, YouTube at youtube.com/@IM_TSU. And if you have any questions and I haven't answered them in any of my videos or streams, hit me up on Discord. I love helping new players. This game is great. Its community is wonderful. And thank you for having me.
Oh, thank you so much for joining us. And well, Gimmick.
I think that's about everything that we have for today. Join us in 2 weeks again as we have our next Orbis Overdrive with our next guest to be announced. So get ready for that. And again, make sure to tune in right here tomorrow, twitch.tv/epic7 or youtube.com/epic7 for the content creator battle tomorrow. There's also drops on Twitch, so be sure to show up for that too.
Definitely.
But once again, everybody, thank you guys so much for watching and tuning in. Sue, once more, thank you guys. Thank you so much for joining us today. And yeah, we'll be seeing you guys in the next episode very, very soon. So,
It's your resident newbie, Miiku.
and you got Gimmick, and we'll see you guys next time.
Bye.
Bye.